Hello and welcome to Man's Model Moments. In this video I'm going to be looking at the Rogue subclass from the expert classes in the 1D&D Unearthed Arcana playtest material. I have videos on the other subclasses, which are linked here, as well as an overall video which combines all these three together with some discussion on the expert classes and other small features in general. Now of course this is the second release, so the first release covers some of the basics. If you haven't seen that yet, I'll link it above for you to have a look at. We come to Rogue, the second most popular single-classed PC on D&D Beyond. 11% of players play Rogues. Most of those, about 40%, I think it is, 39%, play Thieves, which is the subclass that they deal with in the UA. So again, it's about 4.4% of all players. So similar to the other two, but Thieves are iconic. They're quite strong in 5th E. They're glass cannons. I've played a number of Rogues. I really like Rogues. This does change some fundamentals of them, which I think is going to be quite divisive for people. Simple stuff to start with. Hit dice, unchanged. Armour, unchanged. Here comes the first one, weapons. Now, again, I applaud the thought behind this, because what they've done is said they now have proficiency in simple weapons and martial weapons that have the finesse property. So that's rapier, scimitar, short sword and whip. I think the scimitar and the whip make absolute sense. I think it was odd that they weren't included in 5th E, or that they weren't finesse weapons. However, there's a couple of things that does exclude. Longswords, which are neither here nor there because I don't know anybody that uses longswords as a rogue, and the big one, hand crossbows. No hand crossbows. So if you had a ranged rogue before based around hand crossbow, sorry, it ain't going to work. So I don't think that's going to be a particularly welcome change for most people. Tools, saving throws, skills and expertise are all exactly the same as 5th E. And then we come to the second big change, which again I think is going to be extremely divisive, even if mechanically it may not make too many differences. Sneak attack. Everybody knows how sneak attack works. If you don't, basically, if you have advantage on the attack or you've got a colleague within 5 feet who isn't incapacitated, you don't have disadvantage on that roll, then you get to roll a number of extra damage dice of the same damage type as the weapon you're using. Most of that is exactly the same. The devil here is in the wording. In 5th edition, once per turn, you can deal an extra, however many sneak attack damage to one creature you hit with an attack, if you have, and all those bits. Those are the important things. Once per turn, not necessarily your turn. So this is where you can do multiple sneak attacks in a round, because somebody else's turn can provoke an opportunity attack, and you can use a sneak attack on that. You can deal an extra 1d6 damage to one creature you hit with an attack. Okay, so those are the two important pieces to remember there. Wording in the UA. Once on each of your turns, so now it's only your turn, when you take the attack action, so just to really specify it down, so this is no more multiple sneak attacks. You get a sneak attack when you take the attack action. So that is a change that is going to displease a lot of rogues, and then all of the same restrictions as existed in 5th E. But just those subtle word differences take it from something that if you were lucky, and it had to be lucky, right? This didn't happen most of the time. But a rogue could position themselves so that if they provoked opportunity attacks, that they would be able to get sneak damage. And that was pretty important in control. Board control is a big piece of 5th E. If you don't know that, then you need to think about how you're playing the game. Provoking opportunity attacks. Rogues don't want to be in the front line, but if they do get in the front line, they can be really good about controlling that, because if people start trying to move away from them without disengaging, you can clean up an area quickly. This removes that entirely. Other pieces, Thieves' Cant, Cunning Action, Roguish Archetype, all completely unchanged. The optional Steady Aim is now gone. That's just not part of it anymore. Ability score improvements happen in exactly the same positions. Uncanny Dodge, Evasion, Reliable Talent, unchanged. One thing that they do now get, in addition to prior editions, is a 13th level ability called Subtle Strikes. When you attack, you know how to exploit a target's distraction. You have advantage on any attack roll that targets a creature that is within 5 feet of at least one of your allies isn't incapacitated. That is also the same criteria for getting sneak attack. So this basically almost guarantees sneak attack if you're attacking somebody within 5 feet of one of your allies. That's really good. So whether this is trying to balance out that prior one, but that's a really strong ability. It comes in at 13th level though. Did rogues need to be stronger at high levels? Because at high levels, rogues get pretty good. And I'm not really sure they needed to get advantage because they're already doing things like hiding. They've already got, because of reliable talent and great stealth rolls, they already have ability to like hide behind things with their cunning action and gain advantage on an attack roll anyway. So it's strong, but I'm not sure it's needed. The old ability at 14th level, where you got blind sense, however, is gone. So you might be getting advantage on things that you can see next to your allies, but if somebody sneaks up on you, you can't detect them. Slippery Mind at 15th level is now improved because it affects both wisdom and charisma saving throws. So before it was only wisdom saving throws, now it's wisdom and charisma. That's really good. Elusive, which you gained at 18th, is now gained at 17th. And Stroke of Luck, which is your capstone 20th level ability, is now gained at 18th level. Previously, if your attack missed a target within range, you can turn that miss into a hit. Or if you fail an ability check, you can treat the d20 as a 20. Now it applies to any d20 test. So now you're also talking about saves too. So that has, again, it's lowered the barrier to it by bringing it down to 18th and increased the effect of it. Really strong ability. It's high level. And I don't know really who's playing at these kind of levels. And I don't really know if they really need it to be stronger. So all of this seems a bit odd that these strong abilities are coming in at the high levels of play. Whether they're trying to encourage people to play at high level, I don't know. And then, of course, at 20th level, you get the epic boon. All strong abilities. So there's a couple of things which are going to annoy people. Loss of hand crossbows, changes to sneak attack, so it's only basically once on your turn. But then, once you get in higher levels, you've got some nice, strong abilities, although you are losing a couple of others as well. So it's difficult to know, really. Now, in terms of the thief specifically, there are a few things. Third level, you had fast hands. Starting at third level, you can use your bonus action, granted by your cunning action, to make a dexterity, sleight of hand check, use your thieves' tools to disarm a trap or open a lock, or take the use an object action. You get basically advanced options for your cunning action, which you can do the following. Search, take the search action. Sleight of hand, make a dexterity check to pick a lock or disarm a trap with thieves' tools, or to pick a pocket. So just the two. You don't get to use an object now. Second, story work. Again, this differs slightly in the nuance of the wording. When you choose this archetype, you gain the ability to climb faster than normal. Climbing no longer costs you extra movement. In addition, when you make a running jump, the distance you cover increases by a number of feet equal to your dexterity modifier. So if you could jump 10 feet, your dex of 20, you can now jump 15 feet. That has changed now into you get a climb speed equal to your speed. Now that is slightly different, climbing no longer costing you extra movement. And some of the subtlety comes in how it's applied, but I get why they've done it. It's a simplification. When you take the jump action, you can make a dexterity check instead of a strength check. Now that I think is quite a good thing, but it also doesn't let you make jumps that you could make in 5th. So it's an easier check to make now, but you can't jump as far, whereas before it would have been a harder check, but you could jump further. I think it makes sense actually making dex check instead of a strength check rather than being able to jump further, but obviously it is a mechanical change. Thieves also get Supreme Sneak and use Magic Device, so there are a couple of differences here. Supreme Sneak, which at 9th level, you have advantage on dexterity checks if you move no more than half your speed in a turn. That is changed now to you have advantage on every dex check stealth you make, provided you aren't wearing medium or heavy armour. That's quite a bit different. Okay, so there's no penalty really, because, well, you can't wear medium or heavy unless you're multi-classing. So, wow, now you just get advantage on stealth checks automatically. Whereas before, you had to actually move half speed to do it. I mean, mechanically, it works fine. Again, it's probably just a little bit of flavour. Use Magic Device at 13th level. Basically, in 5th E, you ignore class, race, and level requirements on the use of magic items. In the UA, it's a little bit different. I think it's stronger. It's the same kind of general feel and premise. So there are different effects now with this use of magic. Attunement. You can attune up to 4 magic items at once. That is huge just by itself. The ability to attune to an extra magic item is a huge deal, especially when you're up at these sort of levels, because at 13th level you've probably accumulated quite a lot of stuff. So the ability to attune to another magical item is not arguably game-breaking, but it's very, very strong. Charges. Whenever you use a magic item property that expends charges, roll a d6. On a roll of 6, you use the property without expending the charge. That is also very, very good. Scrolls. You can use any spell scroll that bears a cantrip or a first level spell. You can also try to use any spell scroll that contains a higher level spell, but you must first succeed on an intelligence check with a DC equal to 10 plus the spell's level. That's all fine, but overall I think that is a much stronger ability than previously. So 17th level Thieves have Thieves Reflexes, and here you can take 2 turns during the first round of any combat. Take your first turn at normal initiative, your second turn during your initiative, minus 10. You can't use this feature when you are surprised. Firstly, instead of 17th level, this happens at 14th level, so a full 3 levels earlier. But the flavour is a little different, and I think it's weaker. It happens at 14th, so now you can take a second bonus action on your turn, provided it is the bonus action from Cunning Action. You can use this feature on a number of turns equal to your proficiency bonus, and you regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. So again, I like the fact it's like linked to proficiency bonus, but if you think about it, an extra bonus action that you're going to use Cunning Action. So essentially what this does is you normally get your action, your bonus action, your Cunning Action, and your reaction. And now essentially you're getting your action, bonus action, Cunning Action, and reaction. What else are you going to use that bonus action for? So Thieves don't have that much in terms of bonus actions outside of the Cunning Action, which specifically allows you to do things. You know, they're not casting a lot of spells, even, and this is Thieves, okay? So you're not casting any spells. You've got a bonus action magical item, maybe, but most bonus actions are linked to spell casters, typically, outside of Cunning Action. So what is this actually giving you? It happens, okay, 14th, it's fairly high. Now compare that to 2 actions on your first round of combat. Each combat. I would prefer to have 2 rounds in each combat, to be honest, even if I have to wait to 17th to do it. Because despite it happening at 14th and having 3 levels to use my extra bonus action, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. You know, I can't bonus action dash, that's my Cunning Action. So what is it giving me over and above what I already have? There are probably a very few, very niche circumstances that I could use that. Whereas 2 turns on the first round of combat, hell yeah. That is far more useful.
That's all for this instalment of Man's Model Moments. Please like, subscribe and share this video if you enjoyed it. It's the best way of helping me to grow the channel and produce more content like it. With that, I hope you have plenty of modelling moments of your own, and I look forward to welcoming you on the next video.